We're delighted to have you all here, and we're super excited because Michelangelo Pistoletto is with us too. I'm Emma Ridgway, I'm Head of Programme at Modern Art Oxford. And this year, as many of you know, marks the 50th anniversary of the gallery. The year-long programme is Kaleidoscope, where we've got woven together events and exhibitions, bringing back artists of influence who have shown at the gallery, alongside artists who are new to Modern Art Oxford, with some new commissions or works not seen here before. Michelangelo Pistoletto had an exhibition here in 1999 called Shifting Perspectives. I Am the Other. I'm going to talk about that briefly in a bit. I'll tell you a little more, although many of you already know, which is why you're here, that Michelangelo Pistoletto is an Italian artist and art theorist and educator. He's acknowledged as one of the main representatives of arte povera, and he's best known for his mirror paintings, which we'll talk about briefly, but what we're most excited to hear about today is the third paradise concept and idea and how that's manifesting in his work. His influence has been huge in conceptual and contemporary art and continues to persist. In 2013, he won the Golden Lion Award for Lifetime Achievement at the Venice Biennial. In 2013, he received the Imperial Prize for Art in Painting from the Japan Art Association, and his works are permanently exhibited at the Museum of Modern Art and Guggenheim, both in New York, at the Smithsonian Hirshhorn Museum in DC, the Bourbourg Museum in Paris, the Reina Sofia in Madrid, Tate Modern, and he's also had, as many of you will know, lots of other temporary exhibitions and been included in huge amounts of group shows because his influence persists and persists. Vital to his work is education. And in '98, he founded Città dell'Arte, which is an arts organisation where people from around the world come together to explore the idea of art and social engagement and ideas around art and social change. And tomorrow, very excitingly, his major exhibition at Blenheim Palace opens. And it's the largest gathering of his works that have been seen together in the UK. So we will start with a few simple questions. Would you talk a little to us about the Shifting Perspectives, I Am the Other exhibition at Modern Art Oxford, please?
The Shifting Perspective was done in '99 here. And from that moment till now, the perspective was still shifting. Mm-hmm. It's always moving. Shifting perspective, it means that there is a perspective. When I was 18, I was visiting a museum. I discovered the Piero della Francesca La Flagellazione. Mm-hmm. And that it was the time when the modern art was leaving the conflict between abstraction and representation and figurative art. And in that conflict, I was trying to discover my position. Mm. And seeing the work of Piero della Francesca, I discovered that was not a question of abstraction or representation or figuration. It was there was something else there. Mm. It was the discovery of the perspective. Mm-hmm. The discovery of perspective that influenced the progress from the Renaissance until today. Mm-hmm. That was not just a perspective done for the art, for the artist or the world of art, but it was done for humanity. Because the perspective was bringing us into the end science and technology of the modern moment of our history, and so I said, it's possible for an artist today to propose as an artist, as Piero della Francesca did. A perspective for the society today. That was a basic question when I was young. and that is one of the reasons I started to make my research, and starting from the identification of myself through the icon, to the icon. Also because the Piero della Francesca flagellation was an icon coming from the religious story. But the subject of the flagellation, it was not important. The images of the people were just element important for the perspective, but not for the not for the story. But the icon for me represented also an importance of the reason of the icon. Why the icon exists? It exists because it's representing the person, a human person, that is, can be, I don't know, it should be Christ, for example, but it's not Christ because we didn't have a painter making the portrait of Christ. It is somebody. And around the Christ, there is the gold, the gold. Two elements, a person and the gold, the background. And that, but that is the background that is representing the transcendency, the unknown and the transcendency. And he said, but that is not an answer for me. It's not an answer to my question. I have to be transported on that transcendency, or there is a possibility to understand something for the life that I have to, in some way, to realize myself in this world. And working on the self-portrait. Why I started working on the self-portrait? Because he said that the problem is the person that is there. It's a real person. It's not a fantastic element. And it said that real person can be myself. So I started to work in order to discover myself through the self-portrait. In order to make a self-portrait, you need a mirror. And the two elements I had to play with, it was a mirror in one side, looking myself inside of the mirror, and the canvas, the white canvas, the other. So the reality and the concept of the art, that was the canvas. The art concept and reality. They said, what is, okay, I started to paint myself, but what to do on the background of myself? I made gold background. I made silver and other different background. Always painting my figure in the center, but not very realistic. Just my presence. And finally one day I paint black. I paint black vernish for the background, and I started to see that the black vernish was shining. It was reflecting the images, and I said, "Oh, I see myself inside of the painting, and not anymore only on the side." So the fusion of the mirror and the canvas was done, just by the background. And I started to paint my image, looking myself into the painting, and itself, and I made the image of my face, and I was surprised to see my face coming toward myself, detaching to the background. I said, my God, something is happening here. What's happening? Something is happening. And that it was a phenomenon. The phenomenon of the static image and the space reflected around the image. It was not anymore the gold, the unknown, but it was the known. It was myself. It was the space around myself. So I tried to use other material in order to make the background surface more mirroring. And the only possibility it was finally to use steel, stainless steel, polished stainless steel, that was looking like mirror, was acting as a mirror. I couldn't use the glass mirror because the glass mirror is thick, and if you make an image on the surface of the mirror, the image is not directly connected with the reflection. It takes a distance because of the thickness of the glass. Yes. So I couldn't use the mirror. Also, it's very delicate; it can break. I wanted to make something durable, huh? And so the metal, the polished metal, was giving the result. Also because in the antique, the very antique mirror, they were made with metal, polished metal. So it didn't make anything new in that sense. But what I did new, it was to transform the canvas in a mirror. That it was the fact. In effect, the gold of the icon is not a painting material. It's not it's not powder mixed with glue. It's metal. Yeah. It's already metal. I used just another metal, and the entire world appeared. And I felt myself inside, not alone anymore. Because if you think about the self-portrait that you see in the museums, you see always the artist alone. It's the aloneness of the artist, the self-portrait. And in my case, I was not alone anymore because it became the self-portrait of the world that was reflecting itself inside. So the self-portrait of the artist became the self-portrait of the world. That was the solution I was looking for. But it was a phenomenological solution, a phenomenological solution. As the work of Piero della Francesca was a phenomenological solution, was not a descriptive solution, but phenomenological. It was a phenomenon, the phenomenon of the perspective. And in my work, the phenomenon, it was the fixed image and the dynamic image working together, like the present that is always changing, because in the mirror, the image, they are never the same. One image that you see in the mirror in this instant is there just for an instant. It was not there before, it will not be there after. This is incredible. It's incredible. It's the infinity in the present. An image is born and it dies at the same time, and it is what happened to us. This because it's reflecting the life. We live and we die and we are born and we die each instant. That is the infinity in the present. The infinity is finishing in each instant of the present. This is fantastic, no? The infinity is finishing in each instant of the present. But I taking the photo of one instant, I fixed the image, and it will never change. Will never change. So, an image that it doesn't change, what it is a photo of something that was there just for one instant, but it become memory. Become memory and represent the past. It's not the present anymore, but the past. And I put the image of the past on the mirror. I have the past and the present living together, functioning together. And this is a phenomenon. It's the phenomenon of time. The mirror painting, they are not only the representation, but they have the function of the time. The time that is going and the time that is stopping. The two extremes, something that doesn't change and something that always changes, they live together. So past and present, they work together for the future. So this is the phenomenology. And it is at that moment that I said that it can be the perspective for the future that I am looking for. the perspective, because also, you know, in the modern art arrived to a point when a point where the perspective, the Renaissance perspective, was closed, finito. The white cube. All the exhibition of artists was done in the white cube. I was very happy to make the show at Middle Lane because it was not a white cube. That was the past. It was the past, and I was putting something in the present for the future.
Yeah.
But okay, that it was the parenthesis. The cube, the white cube, it was a box. We have in Italy, we had an artist that is called Fontana, Fountain. Mr. Fountain, Fontana, that made holes in the canvas. Because for him also the canvas, it was the concept of the wall. Yeah. Making a hole in the canvas, it represented to make a hole in the wall of the white cube, or cutting, making something to aggress the final perspective, but looking for a space. He called arte spaziale, space art, because he was looking for a space, but the space was just few millimeters of the cut of the hole. When Fontana has seen my mirror paintings, he said, that is what I was looking for, because there is no physical hole, but the mirror, it opened an entire perspective, 300% space perspective and time.
And brings the reflection
within.
And brings the reflection, the idea of reflection.
And brings the reflection
and
brings the viewer inside of the work and so on. But what was new in that perspective, it was that what you see in front of you is behind you. So the perspective of the Renaissance was going ahead. The new perspective is going ahead and back at the same time, back and ahead. The past and the future are confronted in that point of limit where the physicality meet the artificiality. So this is a very important moment was very important moment for me. From that, little by little, okay, shifting perspective, it means to work in order to transform that vision in something that I said there is the possibility of a new perspective for the society or just for the artist. Piero della Francesca, or the Renaissance perspective, it was not made only for the artist. It was made for the society. And I wanted to make a perspective from my discover, a perspective for the society. And little by little, it went on until we can say the third paradise. That is this sign. We can speak about many passages, but I think we lose time because there's already almost half an hour.
Yeah.
But half an hour to arrive to the third paradise is already.
We talk a little about Città dell'Arte.
Okay, bravo. Città dell'Arte. In 91. Cosa?
Vuoi cominciare a muovere l'immagine da stai?
Sì, ancora un attimo. 91, when they asked me to teach at the academy in Vienna. I didn't want to go to teach there. I said, why I have to become a professor? I hate the professors. I was always a bad student. I was always a bad student. Why I have to be a professor? They said, no, listen, we need in this academy, we want really, it's a very old academy, but we want to change. We want to make a big change. We want to enter in another sphere of this academy. And we think really that you are the person that can help us to do that. I said, he said, and the rector, he said to me, because it's an architect, and not all the architects understand very well art. But he was the director of Art Academy, and he said, even if I will not understand what you're doing, I will support you. Oh, this is great. I cannot say no. I cannot say no. It's the maximum of the confidence, no. And so I decided to accept. And I started there to say to the student, said, if I don't want any failed artist coming out from this academy. No, if you want, if you know, we have the museums, and the museums they are not so many, and they are quite small in relation to the population that want to be artists, and collection and so on. So there is no place for all of you. So, but you have to know that the society is waiting is waiting you, is waiting the possibility that you can offer the society as artists, not only the museum. And he said, now we start to work putting art in relation what the social need. And in effect, they always find a job, they find a job. Putting art in relation, and in 10 years, I went on in there. At the same time, I said, after I will go to Biella. I bought an old factory there, and I started to make an activity there. And what I did is to make a university myself, a university of ideas, with the help also of many students of Vienna, and we started that activity. University of ideas, it means that we can prepare the people to interact with the society, putting art and society in connection. And he said art, and we started to make an important exhibition that we repeat every year, that is called Art at the Center. Art at the center of the social responsible transformation of the society. At the center, not beside. Because art is creation. Art is in the modern art was the liberation of the artist. The artist took the maximum of the freedom to make anything he wanted or she wanted. To make a sign, to make a color, to make a graphic, to anything, using a material, anything. The maximum of freedom. But I said, but the maximum of freedom by itself is not enough. Because more you're free, more you become responsible of what you're doing. So art has the maximum of freedom and responsibility. Yeah. And it is the binomials that I still work with. Freedom and responsibility. And this is something that we can share. Yeah. Everybody can be part of it. Freedom, to be more free, but the moment you're more free, you're more responsible. If you are submitted, there is always somebody that will be free and responsible, but not you. You will be unresponsible, but also not free. Attention. We want freedom. Freedom, yes, but that means responsibility. And in order to be responsible, we have to be engaged, to be part of it. And finally, Città dell'Arte was done for that, putting young artists, or not only artists, architects, writers, musicians, dancers. All the language were there in order to create a dynamic with the society. And that is going on and on. A certain moment, I said, but now it is necessary to be clear that there is a symbol that can be used for everybody, not only for the artist. And I took the decision when the two towers were fell down, and the United States declared the war to Iraq. They said the preventive war. Preventive, what does it mean? Preventive war to Iraq. They said, this is terrible. We have to make the preventive peace, not the preventive war. Because the peace is always conceived something that is the consequence of a war. No, doesn't exist the peace without a war. So we have to make the war in order if you want the peace. This is crazy. Huh? I want the peace, so go to the war. Yeah. It's unbelievable. Huh? So, and at that moment, the entire society, probably not everybody remember that everywhere in the world, people went in the street, making manifestation. Everywhere in the world. They say, but without saying anything, just going in the street. It was a very noisy silence. For me, it was a very big noise, that silence. I said, for me, this is the first international votation. Like if it was, there was an entire world that voted for no war. And so I said, but as an artist, I have to do something more clear, more precise. I have to make a sign. I have to make a flag of that piece. And so I made that form. That is also that form is not is not invented from zero by myself, because it is the sign of the infinity, the mathematic sign of infinity that is made with two. It's one line that is crossing itself. It makes two circles. But being so familiar with infinity, for me it was clear that the infinity was the present. The infinity it was bread for my teeth, and teeth, right?
Teeth, yes.
My teeth.
Yeah.
What is that? Nothing. So this is the infinity. But we live in the infinity. We don't live in the infinity. Means to die in each minute. But we don't die in each minute. We have a duration. That is the duration of the life of everything. Everything has a duration. So I want to discover to discover the space for that duration. That is the life. What we call life. It is why I crossed the line 2 times, and the space, the third circle, came in the center of the two round, the two circle that represented the infinity. So the infinity, not excluding the infinity, but being a kind of parenthesis in the infinity, and that is the reality that is going on and transforming itself in the universe, the physical universe. I said, okay, this is okay. But what we have to do in order to use that symbol? We have to understand that the circle on the side, they represent all the opposites. I don't know. For example, nature and artificial world. The natural world and artificial world. We moved from the first paradise that was the paradise of the nature. We went into a second paradise that is artificial paradise, made by art, science and technology. And today we have a conflict. The artificial world is destroying the nature, is creating problems with the nature. We are between this possible of having a fantastic progress and a terrible disaster at the same time. We have also, in that sense, we have again positive and negative. We have two elements that they are the contraries. They can be also political. They can be economical. They can be scientific. They can be social. Scientific, it means, for example, that if you have oxygen and hydrogenous, what do? You combine them and you make water. In the middle there is water, but it's created by the combination of different elements. So we have to learn to combine elements. They can be just different or opposite elements, but also in order to produce energy, what do? You have the positive pole, the negative pole, and in the middle you have the battery. You have the energy. Masculine and feminine, and you have a child. That sign is the sign of the creation. It is the formula of the creation. The creation, it means, to create, it means putting two elements that can be different or opposite in condition to create something that didn't exist before. If we want to change the world, we have to do that. Try to put all the different elements that are in conflict, then they make war. Instead of making war, find looking for the balance between the opposites, and the two opposites will produce something that didn't exist before. So, if we use that formula, everybody can use it. We can change the world, because we make a world that still doesn't exist. But we have to be able to play with positive and negative. We are monsters, but we are good people at the same time. Each one of us, we have to combine the opposite in ourselves and in the rapport with the others, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 4 by 6, 7, 8, and create the society of consciousness, and also freedom and responsibility. They are the two elements also that you have to combine. If you have something in mind, you think, oh, this is perfect. No, stop for a moment. Go to look what is the opposite of you think, or what you think. And move the perspective, shift the perspective, and having one concept in one side and the opposite on the other side, and try the solution in the middle. This is something that we have to teach to the students, to teach to the young people, to teach from child, to be able to take balance in the things. I think this is the meaning, the basic meaning of this side. From that, we have a lot of people working on that side. The majority of the sign that you see here they are not made by myself, because it's a sign that I offer the society, and the society can then start to manipulate the sign in order to take possession of it, and try to translate the meaning in the activity, in the social activity. was an embassy of the third paradise were created, and now we have around 100 embassy around the world, and they are growing. And they are created by individuals that feel transported by that idea.
Yeah.
And they wanted to put the idea in action, and it is growing, that activity in many important situations, because not only individuals but also important organizations like the United Union, the UN,
yeah, the United Nations.
United Nations. We made the third paradise in the garden of the United Nations in Geneva, and we have the stone of each country that are, and then together make the third paradise, the stone of each country, and we activate a rapport with all the different countries.
Yeah.
But with this sign, they already are independent, but they know that they are part of a balance that they have to find, and part of an instrument of new energy that they have to activate, and many other things are happening, and other people are working on that. Many people.
One day, that is the 21 of December.
Oh yes, but the 21 of December, yeah. The 21 of December 2012, there was a kind of announcement of the end of the world. I remember that because the Maya calendar was finishing, they said this is the end of the world. They said, perhaps the Maya, in a certain way they are right, because if we go on in this way, we are destroying our world. And it said, why? Okay, so this day, that day, it can, instead of being the date of the end, can be the date of the beginning. And we made the rebirth day. And the 21 of December of every year, there is more and more people that celebrate that day of the Renaissance. It's a new Renaissance. I wanted to work for that, and finally, shifting, we arrived to do something.
Yeah. And can you tell us about something you've been doing at Blenheim Palace? So the exhibition and some of the works that are there.
What is necessary to visit?
Of course. This is the day before it opens, though. So
to visit the place.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a very important connection. What I was saying in relation to what I was saying about the perspective of the mirror that is showing the future, looking the past. And there we are in a place of the past. Everything is past. Oh, there is the car there. I think that is a work that I have done. I have done visiting the place. I had a vision of a car half covered by the water, and gold. And I had that vision. How is the title of that work? Mirage. I had the Mirage. I have seen that work, but the work was not done yet. I have seen it. I said, okay, I have to just to realize what I have seen, and the Mirage became reality.
Why did you have that idea? Why did you come up with that idea of a Mirage?
It was a mirage. I don't know. The mirage, it is something that doesn't exist, no? But it comes to your vision, your imagination. It's something that when you are in the desert, you see a city there. You know why? You don't know why you see the city. You see the city because the city is mirage. But I think that art is, in a certain way, is a mirage always. It is something that an artist tries to imagine, and we start to, in our imagination, to see something that still doesn't exist. It is the passage between, we said two elements, what exists and what it doesn't exist, and you put it together, things, and you create something. And art, it is a passage between the not existence and the existence. And I think what the people finally perceive without knowing how the work came, they feel to be part of some mental activity. Because it's a word that everybody likes. I didn't know that. But as an enormous success, that little car, gold little car in the water. But if you really go on and you think more what that means, you can say also that the car it's a myth for the myth of the modernity. It has been the myth of the modernity. And now is the time when the myth is sprofondare, come si dice?
Thinking.
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 Thinking. Ah. You say thinking. Think. Thinking. Okay, thinking is fantastic. It's now the modernity is sinking into the oblio, into the nothing.
Oblivion.
In the there is a disaster behind, because it's a. But the car is gold, and the gold is sustaining what is still is there, and on the top of the roof of the big palace, you have round gold spheres, and it is like if the palace is thinking, and the gold is still there. It can be one interpretation. But it represents the fact that the palace, it represents a past, the glory of the past. But the glory of the past was based on war. It is the palace of magnificence, but of war. I was very happy to do that show, because I remember during the war, we escaped of the country because escaping the bomb in Torino, and in the evening we were listening Radio Londra, Radio London, and what is happening? And it was also translated in Italian. But Churchill here, Churchill there, Churchill there, and Churchill became the person of the hope for us, not the American, because they were bombing us, not the German, because they were killing us, but Mr. Churchill, Radio Londra. And it is why I was so happy to make a show in this place where Churchill was born, Churchill was living, Churchill was our hope. And now it becomes the hope of the peace that we can produce together in that place. So Mr. Churchill for me is there, and we are working together for that exhibition. That is the exhibition that is showing. Oh, these are mirror paintings. Isn't that beautiful? You have to go and see it. You will reflect All the mirror painting, they are reflecting each other. All different works of the presented there. These are the big trumpets that were used during the fascism time to make the discorsi, the speech of Mussolini in the square. And that there is again that rapport with the war and say a communication with the population. But I like it very much the form of it at the same time. This is the Venus of rags. It's made. We made very big. It's very big, special size. And in that work, we have the Venus that is coming from the history. This is the memory, and we have the rags that take the place of the mirror, in the sense that the rags represent the transformation from the fashion, what it becomes fashion, and it dies. The fashion after the consumeristic use of the fashion, and it becomes something to throw away. That is, come si chiama the rubbish of the society. Without the Venus, it's just rubbish. But with the Venus, rubbish, it is reactivated, is renewed, and it takes new life as color, as form, and so the past and the present, they fit together again, like in the mirror painting, in order to produce something that is the Venus of rags. That is the work of art. But I hope I'm not to explain all the exhibition.
Only few images.
By the way, their job, there is a good two. You are two. They are they are storytellers in the middle aim, and they tell story to the people. But before they were just telling stories of the past, but now they have to combine past and present and future, and so they become actors of this process, participants. Okay, I'm very happy to see you here today.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
Well, we could ask for some questions from people.
10 minutes. 10 minutes today.
There's a microphone if people want to ask questions. You might want to take a minute to gather your thoughts. Whilst you're thinking about a question, would you talk a little about the omnitheism and democracy manifesto?
We have at least 1 hour for that. Omnitheism means that, but I wrote a pamphlet about that, omnitheism and democracy. But now I transformed the title in omnitheism. Omni. That means theism of the humans. Omnitheism and democracy. Praxi means practice. Because democracy, it means the power of the people. Democracy, it means power. The power of the people. But we see that it doesn't work, because the people never take the power. There's always somebody taking the power for the people. So it is necessary the people become able to act directly and taking direct say responsibility. It means to practice.
Yep.
Transform the concept of democracy in concept of practice. To practice the democracy, not just the power, but the practice.
Yeah.
Demo practice. This is one. And omnitheism, it means omnitheism. It means that each one of us takes the responsibility that we give to in the religion. We give to something, to somebody else, to something that is above everybody and everything, and we are always submitted by all the stratification that come from God to the people, and we have to I don't want to take away the word God, because God, it was also our guide until today. But we have to be ourselves now, the God, that means the guide for tomorrow.
Thank you. Do people have questions? Yeah. You wait for the mic for 1 second.
She wants to talk.
Yeah.
I have a very simple question. It's about your working life. So, when you are back in Vienna, how many hours do you spend in your studio?
Quando sei a Vienna, volevo chiederti una domanda, farti una domanda sul tuo lavoro, quando sei a Vienna, quante ore al giorno passi nello studio?
I don't have a personal studio. I don't have a personal studio. I have a city. It is called Città dell'Arte, the city of art. That is, we are many people there working, activating relations with embassies around the world, creating activity. But I don't make any craft myself. No? I'm not a craft artist in the sense making myself things in the studio, manipulating physical material, but I manipulate society. This is my.
So, for example, the mirrors we see in the galleries around the world, or at Grand Palace.
Yes.
Do you have a team that kind of follows your?
Hai una squadra che lavora per te, che ti aiuta a fare gli specchi o altre opere?
I never. From the beginning, when I started to make the mirror paintings, I was copying the photography because I couldn't paint images myself, because I had always I should always give importance to my feeling of doing the images. So I was just copying the photography by hand and fixing the photography on the mirrors. But the moment I discovered that with the seal screen it was possible to have the same result, I didn't use the hand anymore. But even the photography, I never did the photography myself. Never. There's always somebody taking a photo. I am always directing the situation.
But you break the mirrors. But you break the mirrors.
Now, tomorrow I go to break the mirrors in Copenhagen, no, in Aalborg. I break the mirror because it is necessary to do it. But the first act of breaking the mirror, I didn't do it myself. Somebody did it for me. But in many occasions, I like also to break mirrors myself. Because it's not a constructive work, it's not a craft work, it's just a destructive work. No, I'm teasing. The concept of breaking the mirror, it is, you know that to break the mirror in the belief of the people is to create disgrazie, bad luck. So I destroying the mirror. It is for me. It is to destroy the mamma mia, la credenza, the belief of the bad luck. But at the same time, the mirror it exists. It exists only because of the images that it's reproducing. Because the mirror in itself, it doesn't have any image. It's just taking the image of the existence. But it is physical at the same time, because without a physical material, you don't have that effect. That is the mirroring effect. Don't have it. So I wanted to join these 2 points of the physicality of the mirror and the unphysicality of the images. And breaking the mirror, you multiply the unphysicality, because the mirror they can project one in each other, and at the same time you have the physicality. And for me, this is a metaphysical act. Metaphysic, it means half physic and half not physic. Doesn't exist the concept of metaphysic, escaping the physicality without having the rapport with physical. Metaphysic is not meta, not physic. It's metaphysic. So we have the physicality and the virtuality. And breaking the mirror, it is putting together virtuality and physicality.
So when you've broken the mirror, you shattered the illusion partially,
Yes.
and the work doesn't exist anymore.
The illusion, but you multiply the illusion at the same time.
But it doesn't exist anymore then.
No, it's not the illusion, because you destroy the illusion, but not the reflection. You see?
So
Because
what
the people
exists
had
in your head
illusion.
as a concept.
And
So it exists as a concept after the physical act of breaking.
no, because each piece of the mirror is reflecting in the other, and there is the kind of multiplication, like the population, that we are all pieces of a human mirror. Breaking the mirror, I produce element as human that can reflect with the others. It's kind of humanity that is made with the physicality and reflection. It is, but it's nice also with filming the destruction of the mirror and going backward and seeing the recomposition. You break, and the mirror comes again. Because in a certain way, you don't destroy the mirror. You break the mirror, but you don't destroy it. You multiply the mirror with the division. And the division, it becomes the element of the multiplication. And for me, division it means also something social. Because in Italian we call, we translate divisione, division. Mm-hmm. In a social concept, it becomes condivisione, co-division. We divide together, and it become a social possibility of sharing.
Is it worth mentioning about Arte Povera and where some of those ideas were coming from in the 60s in terms of really reassessing the belief that some of the futurists and other artists immediately had before, which was very much committed to the idea of industrial capital growth and how that would perpetually grow. And Arte Povera took things in a very deliberate, different direction from that, so away from the art object, much more to experience an encounter with the work, that sort of philosophical embodied encounter with the world, as where the art somewhat resided. So that's an
because Arte Povera started to exist the moment we felt that the growing of the modernity was arriving to a limit.
Yeah.
The population didn't think about that. There was some philosopher that started to talk about that, but there was a limit. But everybody was, in a certain way, thinking that the modernity was without limit,
Yeah.
unlimited progress. The progress is limited. And we felt that, so we tried to do what is essential. What is essential? And Arteform was a kind of research of what is durable and essential, and that can survive to that infinite growing when the limit would have been reached. What we can save, that is the basic energy that we have to save, the mental and practical energy. That is, I try to concentrate in this symbol. In the center, we have the energy that has to be in a certain way produced by each one of us and all together. A new energy of the society.
You'd like to finish?
Thank you.
I think that draws the questions to a close. Michelangelo, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Oh.
Would you like to take another question
More
or
than
two?
that, what we can say.
Okay.
Many things more.
Yeah.
If you want, we start again. There is so much to say and to do. But anyway, to change the world, it gives job to everybody.
Indeed.
It's a job, guaranteed job for everybody.
Indeed. Thank you hugely.